are doing very well now in terms of overall daily production. The other thing we talked about Thursday night, because of all this data and a lot of smart people working on this, it's been possible to come up with what we think is going to be at least an interim solution for the community. And this is a two-step process. First of all, the first step is to control the shallow gas so it's not coming up in the community anymore. And the geology actually allows us to do that. Combined with that, and simultaneously, we'll be installing more of these good vent wells to remove more of the gas from the aquifer. The community of Bayou Corn is where we're starting. We have not forgotten Grand Bayou, but we're starting in Bayou Corn. And we've got 4 test areas to test this shallow vapor extraction system that was demonstrated on Texas brine property to stop what we call the Stephanie bubbles. The Stephanie bubbles is a very big bubble site. I don't know if Peter Smith is here with Respect. They put it in and they stopped the bubbling at that site several days after they started. Unfortunately, when they turned the pump off, the bubbles came back in about an hour and a half, which means once these systems go in, they got to run a long time. So they're going to be designed essentially as permanent systems. The first 4 going in here, Crawfish Stew, Sauce Pecan West, Sauce Pecan East, and then down south of Highway 70. Those wells have been staked, and I don't know if they're going to start drilling this week, but the drilling will start very, very soon on those. Simultaneously with that, we've also located a number of deep MRA gas vent wells in and around the community. These are the initial ones. We'll see how they do. We understand the sensitivity of putting vent wells in the community. Combined with this, we've got a dewatering program that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, but essentially that's designed to get more gas out faster. This is what the system looks like. There's a fine grain sand under the community. We can put this dual phase system in, intercept the gas so it's no longer coming up in the houses, and we'll cut it off up here while we're removing gas down here. Now, what allows us to do this? The geology of Bayou Corn. Unfortunately, there's a high point in the aquifer, so there's a lot of gas under there. But there's also a clay layer that's going to allow us to intercept that gas before it can get to the surface. So it's geology giveth and the geology taketh away, or vice versa. From the CPT, we've been able to build a 3-dimensional cube of the geology clear down into the MRAA. I'm not going to bore you how we got there, but we take all the CPT and MIHPT data and we use geologic interpretation techniques to build this cube so we know the details of all the geology. And what this does, when somebody comes up with a remediation idea like the dual phase extraction system, all we have to do is a couple mouse clicks on the computer and we can see what the geology looks like where we want to put it in. I've rotated that cube and we're looking straight north. So you're down about 100 feet below ground, you're looking straight north underneath the community. And I'm just showing the sands because that's what we care about. That's where the gas will be intercepted. The black lines are all the CPTs. You can see a lot of them. The sinkhole is shown here, right there. But the thing is, we want to focus on where the sands are. And you can see the sands, they're beige and yellow because they're fine grain and medium grain sand. That's just the size of the grain. And the good thing is you can see underneath the community we've got a couple really good sands. And that's why we're pretty confident this shallow system is going to work. The geology's there to do it. We've evaluated the geology and now it's engineering and mechanics, getting it in, getting it running. We're going to do the tests on the first 4 sites. That will give us the information to tell us how many wells have to be installed across the community. The idea is to intercept the gas across the entire community. Whether you've got gas today or you don't, the idea is to vent underneath the whole community. And with that, It's question time. This is a slide I show to all people who come on the project. This is why we're here. And I try not to let any of the people ever forget it, that we're here for the residents. And now we'll take your questions.
I don't know if we got an answer the other night or the right answer with the water and the gas you're going to be sucking up from under our homes. Subsidence is what kind of expectancy?
Yeah, the subsidence, we haven't got the calculations done, but the water level change is going to be about 3 feet below once you get away from the wells, okay? The water level out there normally fluctuates a couple feet every year from the rainy season to the dry season. But at Tasca, wherever Will is, that's one of the things they've got to look at.
Property subsidence.
Yeah.
Not water.
Right.
And Mike, I don't know, we had a long discussion today. I think there's some additional surveying work being done for setting up benchmarks to know how we can track it over time. I don't know if Mark can shake his head yes, but they're committed to doing some survey points on roadways for sure. If any of you want to sign an access agreement to doing your property, I think they are willing to do that instead of the roadway, but for sure it'll be the roadway.
Right. I remember us talking about it, I just didn't quite remember the answer.
Okay. Get with Will if you want to have it done on your property itself, and he can work through an access agreement, but if not, it will be the roadway in front of all the community.
Thank you.
Questions?
Dr. Heacock, Thursday you talked about the setting up this dual phase system. Can you tell us how that's going to be done? You were talking about a vacuum truck for 8 hours just to get it going.
Yeah, what's going to happen is we'll set up the vacuum truck to do an 8-hour initial test, and that will give us an idea how it's going to perform. Then as the permanent units come in trailers or on skids like I showed you, those would be permanently hooked up to the wells. And then all the water and gas discharge would go through the distribution system with the gas going up to the flares that are off the properties.
So the ones you talked about, those 4 test wells that you're doing next week, what we got, that's only going to be there for a day or two until, in other words, you're going to make the tests, determine your results, get the vacuum trucks out the neighborhood, get the temporary ones out the neighborhood, and come back in later after you get everything piped up.
Yeah, and I know Texas Brian's working on a pretty aggressive schedule to get those pipes in, so hopefully we're not talking more than a week or two from the time we do the vacuum truck until we can hook up permanent systems.
Okay, did you decide to go with during the tests? You're going to still have to vent straight into the atmosphere?
Yeah, I think they've agreed to put on a taller stack on the back truck. And I also believe that they're bringing in a thermal oxidizer.
Explain how that works, if you don't mind, the thermal oxidizer.
A thermal oxidizer essentially would destroy the methane without having any open flame. Okay, it's kind of like if you camp, the catalytic heaters that you can put in there. That's kind of how it works. It's slightly different, but essentially it destroys the methane, turns it into carbon dioxide without an open flame.
If there's any hydrogen sulfide, how are you going to take care of that? Will the oxidizer take care of that too?
I don't believe so, Mike, but I will tell you we're going to be checking everything for hydrogen sulfide before and during the test. And if we start producing any, it's going to be shut down.
Okay. Does hydrogen sulfide go up or drop down?
If there's enough of it, it's heavier than air, but you can very easily monitor it in the pipeline that's coming out.
So, John, you have somebody monitoring this?
Yeah, there's actually a group, DEQ's going to be there, while the vacuum truck is there. The safety crew from the company is going to also have air monitoring equipment, and we're going to probably locate the closest area array to the test site, to that site as well. So we're going to have an abundance.
The other thing, John, this will all come up, but I think given the sensitivity, there will probably be some inline instrumentation that will be hooked into the system. So if anything abnormal comes up, like you pick up H2S, you can put inline sensors and it'll just terminate everything and actually close the valve.
Mike, are we talking the test, and I think he's talking about long term, but the day they do the vacuum truck test, abundance of attention will be given to it with air monitoring equipment. And then the permanent system should have a lot of instrumentation on it, but being the test is just a one day, will have.
Yeah. From what I understand, though, the permanent system, like you said the other day, you're gonna find it in out the neighborhood, so if something bad happens, it'll happen.
It's out where the flares are now. There's no intention of ever flaring or anything like that in the community.
The only thing the community has to worry about is that 8-hour period of the test. And you'll have a lot of people that.
Correct.
Yes, I promised you Thursday night we're going to be there. It's going to be there with lots of monitors. We are not going to risk anybody's health in the community during the 8-hour test.
Thank you.
Nick?
Yes, on the subsidence again, are we expected to believe that the testing on Highway 70 is going to indicate subsidence around our neighborhood?
They committed to do the residential, the parish roads as well, as benchmarks.
And we've already got benchmarks at the GeoProbe, including the one on your property. We've already got those benchmarks, and they're monitored quite frequently.
But they tend to add points in the roadway, the parish roadways as well. Now, what I just indicated, if you want a property on your property, they're willing to get off the roadway if you want a certain spot, if you want to get slap your home or something to that effect. They're willing to do that, but if you don't give them an access agreement, they'll more than likely be the roadway.
For your information, one of the benchmarks for subsidence is along Sportsman's Drive. There's a benchmark and a GeoProbe. They're both included in the data that's being monitored.
Right, and I know they tried to set up the benchmark at your location, but they used the top of the well for a shot point there, so they definitely have that.
What, through a study in determining if there is a identified subsidence of, let's say, a quarter inch, what is the effect of that subsidence on someone's slab on the structural integrity of their home? And how long would it be before that showed up?
If it's over a big area, a quarter of an inch won't affect your slab. It's when you get part of your slab changing relative to the other ones.
Well,
Uneven, I guess.
what
Uneven.
happens, well, okay, that's what I'm talking about. What happens at my house when one corner of the house subsides, the other one doesn't, and at some point in time, how strong is that slab before it begins to crack?
Well, the good thing is, okay, the dewatering we're going to do for the dual phase system, it's going to be over a large area, and the water level over the big area is going to all be depressed. So it's not going to be part of it like this. We'll have steep cones right around the wells, but most of the water level will all change the same across a large area in the community.
So the subsidence will cover the whole area?
Correct.
Yeah. And that's the difference, is that you get damage when you get differential subsidence. So what I mean by that is that if you have a slab and like one side of the slab goes down and the other side stays up, then you get tilting and that can create damage. But in this case,
What does it do to your plumbing? What happens to your plumbing, your water lines, got gas lines?
Yeah,